The vast, rolling hills of eastern Washington blurred past as Erica Grayson drove east, the late afternoon sun casting long shadows across the endless fields of wheat. She was on her way back from a grueling work conference in Seattle, the kind of event where you spend all day smiling and shaking hands, then retreat to your hotel room, exhausted. The last 2 days had been a whirlwind of meetings and presentations, and now, finally, she was headed home to Montana. The familiar landscape brought a small sense of relief. Home was only a few hours away. The interstate stretched out before her, long and lonely. She hadn't seen another car in miles. The soft hum of the tires on the asphalt and the gentle rhythm of the radio kept her company. After hours of driving, fatigue began to creep in. Her eyes felt heavy, and her hands gripped the steering wheel a little tighter. Erica glanced at the fuel gauge and sighed. The needle was dipping toward empty. She needed to stop soon, both for gas and a quick break to clear her head. Up ahead, a small green highway sign read, "Truck stop 10 miles." Perfect. A brief pause in her journey, a chance to stretch her legs and refuel before making the final push home. The truck stop appeared in the distance, an unremarkable cluster of buildings surrounded by an ocean of fields. Erica pulled off the interstate, the gravel crunching under her tires as she slowed down. A weathered convenience store sat at the edge of the parking lot, a few semi-trucks idling nearby, their drivers likely inside grabbing a quick meal. She parked her car by one of the pumps and stepped out, feeling the warm breeze on her skin. As she filled up the tank, she noticed a young girl standing near the entrance to the store. She couldn't have been more than 12, with long, dark hair pulled into a braid and wide eyes that seemed to scan the lot nervously. Erica smiled, but the girl's gaze remained distant. When the tank was full, Erica went inside to pay and grab some snacks for the road. The convenience store was small, dimly lit, and had the familiar scent of stale coffee and fried food. As she reached for a bottle of water, the young girl approached her. "Excuse me," the girl said softly, her voice carrying a thick Eastern European accent. "Can you help me?" Erica turned to her, her maternal instincts immediately kicking in. "Of course, sweetie. What's the matter?" "My mother and father," the girl explained, "they do not speak English. We are trying to find a place, but we are lost. Can you give us directions?" Erica's heart sank a little at the sight of the girl's worried expression. "Sure, where are you trying to go?" The girl fumbled with a small piece of paper, unfolding it to reveal an address scrawled in shaky handwriting. Erica looked at it but didn't recognize the location. She pulled out her phone to check the map. "That's about 40 miles east of here," she said, showing the girl the route. "You'll need to get back on the interstate and take the next major exit." The girl smiled, relief evident in her eyes. "Thank you," she said, her voice full of gratitude. "We were so worried." Erica offered more than just directions. She walked the girl back to her parents' car, an old, beaten-up sedan with two exhausted-looking adults sitting in the front. Neither spoke as Erica approached, but they smiled and waved, clearly grateful for her help. Seeing how old and worn the car was, Erica felt a pang of sympathy. "Hold on," Erica said, pulling out her wallet. "Let me fill up your tank." "It's no trouble, really." The father protested in broken English, but Erica waved him off and began pumping gas. When the tank was full, she handed the girl a small bag of snacks from the convenience store. "Just something for the road," she said with a smile. The girl's eyes welled up with tears, and before Erica could react, the girl hugged her tightly. "Thank you," she whispered. "You are so kind." The mother and father smiled broadly, and they too waved gratefully as Erica returned to her own car. She watched as the family drove off, the girl waving from the back seat. With a warm feeling in her chest, Erica started her car and pulled back onto the interstate, eager to put the miles behind her. But as she drove east, something began to gnaw at her. It was subtle at first, a strange sensation that she couldn't shake. Every time she glanced in her rearview mirror, she saw a familiar set of headlights behind her. At first, she dismissed it as coincidence. It was a rural highway, after all, and any other car would have no choice but to follow the same road. But after several miles, the car remained behind her, never passing, never falling too far behind. Her heart rate quickened. She tried to calm herself, rationalizing that it was nothing. Just paranoia from driving alone for so long. But the unease continued to build. What if? Erica decided to take the next exit to reassure herself. She'd pull off the road, stop for a moment, and see if the car continued on its way. She just needed to know. She saw the exit sign and turned off the highway, her hands trembling slightly on the wheel. The road was desolate, a narrow, winding path leading into nowhere. She pulled over to the side, her car coming to a stop in the dirt. The other car followed. Erica's breath caught in her throat as the vehicle pulled in behind her. It was the same car. The old, beat-up sedan with the family she had helped at the truck stop. But something was wrong. Very wrong. The doors opened, and instead of the young girl and her parents, 4 large men stepped out. Erica's heart raced. Panic surged through her as she scrambled to lock her doors and roll up her windows. The men approached slowly, their faces hidden in the shadows, but their intent was clear. They were not here to thank her. One of the men reached the driver's side window and pounded on the glass with his fist. Erica screamed, fumbling for her phone, but in her terror, it slipped from her grasp and fell between the seats. She tried to start the car, but her shaking hands couldn't manage the key in the ignition. Another man smashed the passenger window with a tire iron. Glass shattered, raining down into the car. Erica screamed again, trying to kick at the door, but they were too strong. The door was wrenched open, and rough hands grabbed her, dragging her out of the car. She kicked and fought, her screams echoing across the empty fields, but there was no one to hear her. The men dragged her down into a shallow ditch beside the road, their voices low and threatening. Erica begged for mercy, tears streaming down her face, but they showed none. They assaulted her, brutally, mercilessly, leaving her broken and bleeding in the dirt. The world blurred around her as pain consumed her body, her mind retreating into a fog of shock and disbelief. When they were done, the men left her there, disappearing into the night without a word. Erica lay in the ditch, staring up at the sky, the stars spinning above her in a cold, indifferent universe. Hours passed before she found the strength to crawl back to her car. Her body was battered, her spirit shattered, but she was alive. Barely. She collapsed into the driver's seat, her hand shaking as she fumbled for her phone. With trembling fingers, she dialed 911. Help was coming. But the scars left behind would never heal. The family she had helped had been a trap, bait in a cruel game. And now, in the dark, lonely fields of eastern Washington, Erica Grayson had learned the true meaning of horror.